The Detroit Tigers win a series in what was a huge weekend for the city of Detroit. All today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Monday, April 29th, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150. Win or lose, just visit fanduel.com/locked-on to get started. And the Detroit Tigers win a series, like I said, in what was a very, very, very fun weekend for the city of Detroit as a whole. And the Tigers played, albeit probably relatively speaking on a national scale, a small part of that. But there was a big carryover, right? If you watched those games, you saw that those were some big crowds, and the city of Detroit was absolutely bumping. It was chaotic all weekend down here, and that is awesome. It was so fun to be a part of all of the madness in a good way. And the Tigers added to that by taking 2 of 3 from an interdivision opponent that has been really good to start off the young season. So they take 2 of 3. They lose 0-8 in game 1, which was absolutely awful. We'll talk plenty about that. Then they win 6-5 and 4-1 on Saturday and Sunday. Again, that's 2 of 3 at home against the Kansas City Royals. 16-12 now on the young still season. 3 straight series victories as well. 2 of those against AL Central opponents. You have the Twins, the Rays, and the Royals now, which you just took series from all 3. That is all 2 thumbs up, right? Fantastic stuff across the board. Let's talk about what went right. We have a boatload to go over. I know some people really like when I say boatload to go over in this one. So let's start off with Tarik Skubal. Maybe one of the players that went, I don't know, the most right over the weekend. Tarik Skubal had pure, just absolute FU stuff on the mound this weekend. On Sunday, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. He now has a 1.72 ERA on the season and a 0.74 whip. He is remarkable. In this outing specifically, his changeup was elite. Kansas City all weekend, we'll talk about it a little bit later on as well, but they were trying to ambush and attack early all weekend. And it worked a decent amount of the time, credit where credit is due. But Skubal's different. If that's not very clear to a lot of people, Tarik Skubal is just different. You have to sit 98, 99 mile an hour fastball, and then he can pull the string on you. But he's also not afraid to do it early. Like that is really, for me, like the overarching theme of Skubal whenever he takes the mound is like, this dude is not afraid to throw any pitch in any spot to any hitter in any count in any game situation. And that is so tough to hit against for obviously a lot of reasons. He had 11 swings and misses on his changeup, specifically on Sunday. His CSW percentage, stat we like here, called strikes plus whiffs percentage, so just the amount of strikes, really, excluding foul balls, that a pitch or an overall outing had. He was just a hair under 50% on his changeups. I believe it was 48%. Great recovery from early, kind of getting popped in the mouth in the first inning, too. Again, the Royals really tried to ambush early in all of these games. In-game adjustments are the sign of an elite pitcher. That was something that prime Justin Verlander in Detroit was so good at, right? In-game adjustments constantly. Tarik Skubal is just absolutely freaking incredible. And if the season ended today, I think there's a real argument he's taken home Cy Young. Now, obviously, there's still, 4 or 5 months of baseball left. The season does not end today, but he has gotten off to a fantastic start so far this season. Reese Olson also pitched really well. Another player that certainly is on the side of things that went right this weekend. 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Not a bad fastball from Reese Olson. That was my biggest takeaway, easily, right? Not going to bury the lead with him. Absolute, and it wasn't, elite, but he was getting some swings and misses on it, got some more called strikes on it. I thought the 4-seam fastball specifically was actually really solid in this outing, which is maybe the first time I've been able to say that about a Reese Olson outing all season. But he was really not afraid to throw that fastball inside. He got some solid results. The slider was really good. The changeup was incredible in this outing. His 3rd inning, I believe, really poor command in that inning specifically, but every other inning, really solid command. I have been so unbelievably impressed with him this season, as I'm sure all of us have. And he has been rewarded with a 3.18 ERA with an 0-4 pitching record because baseball. So if we could please get him some run support, that would be absolutely awesome. The bullpen, besides the 9th inning on Friday, which again, we'll talk about obviously when we cover things that didn't go right this weekend. But Faedo had 2 innings, really good ball. Chafin continues to be an absolute monster. Foley, we'll talk about him a little bit more later in stuff, but was able to close the door both days, right? It wasn't the prettiest either day, either outing, but 2 for 2 in save opportunities on the weekend. I'm going to take that whenever we can. Shelby Miller, I thought, was one of the best he's looked, his fastball specifically, some of the best that's looked all season on Sunday. And then Alex Lang on Friday, before the big implosion happened, I thought was really good yet again. So really solid bullpen work outside of, again, that 9th inning, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show on Friday. Offensively, Matt Vierling had some not awesome plays in the field defensively, not couple of not great stuff, but we'll talk about the defense later on as well, unfortunately. But at the plate, I thought he had a really solid weekend. His home run on Saturday obviously won them the game. That was an absolute laser, right? Like that thing, I think they said it had a 14-degree launch angle. I would like to know the amount of feet it was from the ground, even at its highest, because I can't fathom that it was very high at all. A lot of people were saying it on social media, like off the bat, we were all kind of like, okay, I hope that falls. and instead it just kept going and going and going and barely got out. Laser to the pull side. We talk about that all the time with Matt Vierling, but he was hitting pretty well all weekend, to be honest. He had quite a few hits, was doing his thing on the base paths as he does. Again, not the greatest weekend defensively, but we will take offense whenever and wherever we can get it at this point. He's hitting 280 with a 735 OPS. He's not going to walk a boatload, not going to be a huge power threat, but putting the ball in play and making stuff happen, which is a good sign. Again, from this team needs all the help that it can get on the offensive side of the ball. So good for Matt Vierling. Obviously, again, that home run on Saturday pretty much I don't like saying anything as single-handedly wins them the ball game, but obviously it was not going very well, and then he kind of broke the seal to get them over the hump there and get a huge win, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well on Saturday. Let's keep the ball rolling. Got a few more things that went right. We'll talk about the things that went wrong, and then everyone's favorite category, stuff. Triple about the draft for a little bit, and then we play my least favorite team in all of baseball this week. So we will talk about all of that right after this. Going to talk to y'all today about our friends over at DoorDash. Look, this Mother's Day, you can get something thoughtful for mom on DoorDash. Surprise her from wherever you are with fresh bouquets, the latest tech, gift cards, self-care treats, and so much more to make her day even that much better. You can pair flowers with a gift card so she can celebrate any way she wants. If she's a bookworm, you can try a bookstore gift card. If she loves a good latte, then great. You can get a gift card for her favorite coffee shop. You truly cannot go wrong. So get all of your Mother's Day gifts all in one place and get 50% off of your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flour, convenience, grocery, or retail order now with code Locked On MLB. That's code Locked On MLB. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply. Also, got to talk to y'all about our friends over at Monopoly Go. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you can unlock. There's so much to get, unique stickers that you can trade with friends and complete albums for big prizes then. A really cool feature. Also cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings and heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure and a lot more. So there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win on Rent Frenzies. There's always something fun to discover with Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it for free in the Google Play or App Store. Game on. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all so much for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will be back tomorrow recapping Game 1 against the St. Louis Cardinals, who I am not a fan of ever. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today, the free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day. You can check it out for free on YouTube. Just subscribe to the page, Locked On Sports Today, or for free in the Amazon Fire TV channels app. So, talking about things that went right over the weekend, another player that falls into that category is certainly Wenceel Perez. He is the man. He is absolutely just the man. He's an absolute dog. Called like we have talked a lot at length about how I mean truly I think if he wasn't hurt at the end of last season, he would have been the September call up last year. He's been hitting really well in AAA for a while now, and to see him get this opportunity and really run with it is just so beautiful and so awesome. And it's one of the many reasons why baseball and sports in general are so cool. He looks happy all the time. Like he's just constantly smiling, just looks like a really good I don't know, vibes guy in the clubhouse. But it's not just that. Like I feel like we say that often about players that, you know, maybe aren't producing very well. Oh, but he's a good clubhouse guy. Wenceel Perez has quietly been one of the best hitters, maybe not so quietly, been one of the best hitters on the team since getting called up. Obviously, at his first major league homer on Sunday, he hit third in the lineup on Saturday and Sunday. Both of those were wins. In both of those games, the Tigers scored 10 total runs, not each, obviously combined, 6 and 4. And in both of those games, he got on base more than once. Walking a hit on Saturday, obviously a couple of hits, including the home run on Sunday. He's hitting 286 with an 873 OPS. I'm very interested in how many opportunities he is going to get against lefties because he's a switch hitter, but he hits so much better against right-handed pitchers in the minors than lefties. So I'm interested to see if they are going to treat him as like a true like switch hitter who's going to be good against both sides, or if they're still going to play matchups, or I don't know, maybe if I don't know. We'll see how he continues to progress there. But the fact of the matter is, this dude's batting in the heart of the lineup right now in games that the Tigers are winning, and he is producing. He's been an absolute pleasure to watch, and I think that he's going to continue to get opportunities. And I also think that when we talk about things that went wrong this weekend, we'll talk about Parker Meadows at the plate again. That is making the decision, because he plays center field, it's making the decision to maybe send Parker Meadows down to the minors for a little bit. I guess stronger and stronger, just because they have someone between him and Vierling that can probably play decent enough center field and are actually hitting. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. We talked about that a little bit on Friday as well. Jake Rogers, the last player I want to talk about this weekend, had a great weekend behind the plate and at the plate, hitting and defensively. Even besides the home run on Sunday, he had a really solid weekend. Was getting a lot of hits, and the thing is, like he wasn't reinventing the wheel up there. Like he just hit mistake pitches. Like that's really it. Like he got thrown quite a few pitches that were right over the heart of the plate, and he took advantage of those when he got them. This isn't, you know what I mean? He didn't need to do anything crazy. He didn't need to make a ton of adjustments and really just kind of like reinvent himself or do, like hit pitches that are way out of the zone or expand the zone or change his philosophy or approach or anything. Like he just simply just took advantage of bad pitches. And you can be a pretty solid hitter if you just do that, especially if he's going to be kind of in the bottom of this lineup. So it'd be really, really nice if we could get, again, anybody that wants to decide to hit, you're going to be welcomed with open arms. So I'm glad that Jake Rogers did that this weekend. Let's talk about things that went wrong this weekend. The offense as a whole on Friday, obviously, they scored a total of 10 runs, like I said, in the next two games. So we kind of got the, recency bias, maybe not even recency bias, just, the next 2 days at the office, they were better, which is good. But if we had a show on, Friday night or on Saturday before the game, it would have been a lot of frustration. Seth Lugo had an 11% strikeout percentage going into this ball game and struck out 9 Tigers in 7 innings. His K percentage on the season went from 11% to 15% in one outing. I like Seth Lugo a lot. I think the Tigers probably should have been players in his market this offseason. He was executing really well, credit where credit is due, but this offense was dreadful at the plate and completely let him off the hook multiple times. Not good approaches, really rough day at the office on Friday. Another thing just overall, and this kind of happened all weekend, it wasn't as bad Sunday, but they are taking so many pitches just right over the heart of the plate. The entire team is doing it. It's very frustrating to watch. And we've talked earlier this year about the team-wide struggle for timing up fastballs, right? But like the hitting coaching department needs to be held accountable at some point, I feel like. Like whose responsibility is that? I'm asking. I'm genuinely asking. Obviously, a lot's the players, but I feel like that's a philosophy approach as well. And between the team-wide fastball issues and the approach questions, you need to right the ship. I am so tired of everyone just getting, heart of the plate pitches early in counts that are just taken for what reason exactly. Very frustrating. They left Brady Singer completely off the hook. I feel like I've said that expression a lot this episode. They let him off the hook completely on Saturday. He had no command, was all over, well out of the strike zone, over the heart of the plate, etc. And they did not tag him for nearly enough. And you still won that ball game. Good for you, but that should not have looked the way it did. I guess I'll put it that way. Tyler Holton and Will Vest, obviously, on Friday. At the end of the day, it didn't really matter, dare I say, just because the offense was horrid on Friday and you weren't scoring on anyone. I think I could have gone up there and taken the bump. I'm not sure the Tigers were going to do too terribly much at the plate, but Tyler Holton, rare command struggles, not something we've seen too much out of him in his couple of years with the team. 2 hit by pitch and back-to-back ABs, obviously not great. And then Will Vest, I mean, that ERA is skyrocketing after a pretty decent start to the season. ERA is pushing 5 at this point. He's got a couple of, week and a half under his belt of not very good ball on the bump. So, and obviously in this game, he came in a tough situation, bases loaded, right? Didn't do any favors, but he was still kind of brutal, no less. So regardless of the situation. So something to keep an eye out for there, especially with the amount of pitching depth this team has. Let's talk before or after the break. Let's do it really quickly. Well, as much time as it needs. Spencer Torkelson, another player that is unfortunately on the side of things that went wrong this weekend. He looks completely lost. It feels like every pitcher is throwing him an absolute cookie first pitch, and he just is automatically taking all of them for whatever reason. I don't know the reason, but it's consistent. He is not picking up anything. He has not been hitting the ball hard lately. It has just been brutal. I was watching the game on Saturday with one of my closest friends, and he looked at me after Torkelson's strikeout, the one where the slider, part of the plate slider up in the zone, and he just stood there and took it, and then just stood there in the batter's box and didn't even leave. And my buddy looked at me and said, "That's one of the worst at bats I've seen from anybody all year." It's and he wasn't in the lineup on Sunday, obviously, but he looks absolutely lost. And another long list of guys on the offensive side of the ball need to right the ship quickly. Okay, it has obviously not been a very good year for Torque. Let's keep the ball rolling. Got a few more players I want to talk about here, and then we'll get into stuff. All right, we'll do all of that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL, and also baseball season is in full swing, as you know, and FanDuel is the official place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150. Win or lose, you can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. I appreciate you all greatly for tuning in. Obviously, talked about Spencer Torkelson, his continued struggles at the plate. I did appreciate that he moved down in the lineup, maybe even further, right? Maybe further. I there's no reason he should be hitting in the heart of the lineup right now. You know, everybody's going to have their own opinion about the future of Torque and what, you know, what heights he could still reach, what his ceiling still is long term. But the fact of the matter is, short term, on a day-to-day basis, not a soul has confidence in him at the box. And I don't know, maybe he's included in that. Unfortunately, it just has not gone well whatsoever. And I think, you know, I don't know how you justify hitting him in the top 4 of the lineup still. So we'll keep an eye on that. Colt Keith, another rough weekend at the plate as well. He isn't swinging through a ton of stuff. It's just he isn't squaring up anything over the heart of the plate. It's very frustrating to watch. Parker Meadows, aside from the double on Sunday, I guess he had a home run robbed on Friday as well. But in a lot of other ABs, still just does not look very confident at the plate. Defense, we'll end on this before we get into stuff. Colt Keith, speaking of Colt Keith, brutal defensive weekend for him, unfortunately. The team had 4 errors on Saturday, just absolutely screwed Casey Mize, just completely left him out to dry. And on Sunday, they cleaned it up, which is good, right? Thumbs up, good job, right? Proud of you. And I'm glad that there wasn't, you know, maybe my instant reaction on Saturday, because I'm glad we have a game buffer of some solid defense in between. But the last 2 weeks defensively have just been such a bleep show, and you need to tighten that up too, really, really quickly, because that's going to get out of hand. And no, please don't. I'm begging you. Okay, let's get into stuff. Casey Mize, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, no walks, and 2 strikeouts. Didn't really have his command of his splitter consistently in this game, was something that kind of jumped out pretty early. But he did hit slider swings and misses. We're here. Absolutely. I think that's easily the best his slider has looked all season. Maybe all career. I don't know. Like that's probably a little over dramatic, but this is easily in 2024. This is the best his slider has looked. Had a few swings and misses on it. Thought he was commanding it really well. Solid outing, again, especially considering the horrible defense behind him. I wish we could see what he, you know, could have done with a competent defense behind him. Hopefully his next outing, he gets that. Torkelson and Baez not in the lineup on Sunday. I think that's always noteworthy. Baez, you know, Javi seems to be getting a day off a week, you know, and it seems to be a lot of Saturdays and Sundays, maybe Sundays specifically. I have to go back and look, but I feel like we're kind of consistently talking about him getting a day off every weekend series, and it seems to be toward the end of the series. Torkelson just struggling so mightily that, they're going to try to give him another day's rest here. So hopefully on Monday he's back and ready to go. Parker Meadows, that robbed homer, just it was a gut punch. Not only just in the context of the game, because you could have been winning there, and the ninth inning probably goes different because you probably go to some different pitchers. But I mean, my goodness, I just baseball is tricky, and it's Colt Keith had a couple of balls that weren't finding the grass either this weekend. Just when it rains, it pours, and the young players are learning that here very, very harshly in the 2024 season so far. Something else I want to talk about really quickly: Andy Ibanez's return looks very, very soon. Like maybe even by the time you're listening to this on Monday, it looks like by Monday or Tuesday he's going to be back. So we talked about this a little bit on Friday. I think candidates to get sent down: Buddy Kennedy, easy candidate, but he's looked pretty solid and can play a lot of different positions. I do think that Parker Meadows is a legitimate candidate now, especially because Winsale Perez has looked so solid at the plate and can play some center field. Matt Vierling's been solid at the plate, can play some center field. I think that Parker's absolutely a candidate to get sent down. I guess Colt Keith technically is as well. I guess I'll throw him in there, but I would be surprised by that one. Now, I the players that I said I would be surprised at not making the roster on opening day, I ended up being wrong about. So maybe that's a curse for Colt Keith. We'll see, but I would be pretty surprised about that one. But you know who's not a candidate is Winsale Perez. There is no way you can justify sending him down when Andy Ibanez comes back. And Andy Ibanez will be welcomed back in open arms, especially again, just knowing what he can do against left-handed pitching. What else? Jason Foley's command this weekend, kind of a little spotty at times, not great, but at the end of the day was able to close the door. Will not end the season with a 0 ERA. My dog, heartbreaking, right? Because that was obviously on the table. What else? Winning Saturday, just in general, I wanted to point that out, is just so huge. The feeling of going into the third and final game of a series in a tie series, right? When it's 1-1, and knowing that Tarik Skubal is on the bump for that game 3 is almost a cheat code. It's almost just like an automatic win. And I don't mean that in the sense of, why even play the game, whatever, but like it genuinely is. Oh, it's 1-1 and Skubal has game 3. Well, there's no reason this shouldn't be a series win. I don't even care who the team across from him is. So fantastic just to get that win on Saturday was just so huge. And kind of the safety valve too of, we're down, 0-2. Well, we're not going to get swept. Like just having that in the back pocket is obviously so huge. I think that's pretty much it for the games this weekend. Did want to just shout out the city as a whole because it was such a fun weekend. The NFL draft, obviously, in Detroit, shattering the all-time NFL record for draft attendance on day 1 and day 2 and overall across 3 days. Absolutely fantastic. It's so fun to be down here in the city and just surrounded by all the people and being, a part of the entire thing. I went to was around the city all weekend and then went to the draft. And it just so unbelievably fun. And that carryover to the Tigers games was so cool to see as well. Saturday especially was just absolutely electric. And you got kind of the fans that wanted to go see a ball game and then go to the draft right after, make a whole day out of it. It was just an absolute blast of a weekend. And I love this place. I love the city of Detroit. I love, obviously, this team and all the teams here, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. It's just really cool to see, for as much kind of crap gets thrown this city's way a lot of times, and especially just historically in my lifetime, just seeing weekends like this where everything went smoothly, everything went great, and it was an awesome time, and the whole world got to see how awesome our beautiful home is. That's awesome. So just wanted to, shout out the 313, man. It was a super, super, super awesome weekend. The Detroit Tigers will play the St. Louis Cardinals today as you're listening to this, and then obviously the next 2 days as well. 6:40, 6:40, and 1:10 on Wednesday are your start times for this series. We'll do a little bit more of a in-depth kind of conversation about the Cardinals tomorrow, but we're running a little long already. Today's matchup, however, will be Steven Matz against Kenta Maeda, two pitchers who have struggled so far this season. Matz has a 5.55 ERA and very low strikeout numbers. Now, the last time I brought up somebody's strikeout numbers, they diced you for 9 innings, or for 9 strikeouts in 7 innings, rather. So maybe let's not get struck out 9+ times by Steven Matz, who has an ERA over 5.5 and one of the lowest strikeout totals in baseball among starting pitchers so far. Looking for back-to-back good outings from Kenta Maeda as well. This one obviously back at home. All of these games are in Comerica, so hopefully, I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like on Monday, and I'm not trying to make it sound like he's like a warm weather pitcher either. It's just he struggled in April so much. That's just an easy correlation to make. But did really well in the dome of Tampa Bay in his last outing. Hopefully, we can get a solid day at the office from him as well. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will be back tomorrow, baby. All right. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all then. Go Tigers.